So you've considered line weight, and if you turn off your background, you can look at your lines that you've created, and you can clearly see that you have whatever you are happen to be drawing. So obviously, we're working on vector portraits for this one, but I know some of you have chosen to do cars or pets or things like that. But if you turn off your image, you should be able to pick out all of the parts. And again, using thick and thin lines and line weight, um, you should be able to clearly see if you turn off your image. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we are going to choose, we'll call it like the major color to fill in. So obviously I am going to work on her skin here because that is a major area of color. And I'm going to work on her hair here because that is a major area of color. The first step in adding some color to your piece, so adding color to your vector portraits is, again, you're going to create a new layer, put it under your lines layer. Oops. All right, sorry, let's do that again. Create a new layer and put it under your lines layer. There you go. And call this one, for my sake, I'm going to call this one skin medium. All right, so you've got your line layer, and then I'm going to do a medium skin tone. So how are we going to find a medium skin tone? Well, that is pretty easy. Just like in Photoshop, there is an eyedropper tool. I'm going to come here to somewhere in the medium skin color, and I'm going to pick her skin tone. And you can see up here in my color that it is picked up here on my brush. All right, so I am going for this. You do not need to use your custom artistic brush for this one. For this one, I'm going to go ahead and use a round brush for it. Now, I'm going to show you a couple hints that I find easier when coloring stuff in. And again, this should seem familiar if you went back and did the coloring book project. So when you are ready to, when you are ready to paint, you're going to want to make sure there's no fill. There you go. All right. You are going to want to zoom in. So use the zoom tool, and you're going to want to zoom way in. Trust me on this one. It works a lot better. All right. So zoom way in. When you use the brush, all right, again, the brackets make the brush bigger and the brush smaller. So I would zoom in. This works a lot easier. And again, using a round brush, you can go right up to the edge of everything. Okay, so I would kind of do an outline of everything first while I'm zoomed in. Then, obviously, you can make your brush way bigger, and you can go back and you can fill in kind of the middle parts. So again, in order to fill the skin in, I would zoom in. Can't stress that enough. Zoom in. All right, even if you need to zoom way in. By the way, the space bar will create a hand that grabs the page, and the B is the brush tool. So you should be able to use the space bar to grab your page. You should be able to use the B as the brush tool to zoom in. And I would, trust me, you may think this goes slower, but it actually goes faster. So I would use the zoom tool in combination with the brush tool and in combination with the brackets to move around your page, fill in the areas, and again, you're going to fill in everything that is a skin tone with a medium skin tone. All right, so give me a second here, and I'm going to go around and fill in the skin tone very fast. All right, so as you guys can see that I have come in here and I have completely filled in the skin. And again, if you zoom in, you should be able to see that I have all the skin filled in everywhere. Now you will also notice that I took the time to fill in the hair because the two biggest medium colored areas were the skin and her hair. And if you look up here, you can see I created a hair layer and a skin layer. The most important part of vector drawing is that you complete these different items on different layers because the order of the layers will become important later when you go to draw. Some layers will need to be on top of each other. Some layers will need to be underneath each other in order to create the vector effect. So also notice that I've locked the line layer so I can't work on it anymore, and I've locked my picture layer so I can't work on that anymore. But again, I completed the hair layer doing the same thing. You go to the hair layer, you zoom all the way in on it, you grab your brush, all right, and then when you're working on your brush, again, it is easy to move the brush and use the space bar and paint all the way around everything while you're working. All right, so this is the first step in working on your colors, is to get all of the medium tones in the biggest areas of mediums of colors first.